What's good, Deluxe family? Welcome back to another video with your boy Noah. In this video right here, we're gonna be talking about the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion case because there has been some new evidence that's been coming out, especially with these trials that have been going on. I know their trials started probably about like a couple days ago, and we just got new information on the second day of their trial. But for anyone who doesn't know, Megan Thee Stallion's first initial claim was that that Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion had ended up getting into an argument in a car, and it was Megan Thee Stallion's best friend and the bodyguard in the car along, I'm pretty sure the driver also. And Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez ended up getting into some type of argument. Megan Thee Stallion ended up getting out of the car. Tory Lanez ended up shooting about 3 to 4 times at Megan Thee Stallion, one of the shots hitting her foot. This is what she's claiming. After that, Kelsey, her best friend, had gotten out of the car to check on Megan Thee Stallion. And then Tory Lanez got out of the car, punching Kelsey in the face, and then telling both of them to get back into the car. And they both end up getting back into the car. And then after that, Tory Lanez is trying to bribe them so they don't say anything about it. That's Megan Thee Stallion's story. You know what I'm saying? And now we end up finding out that Megan Thee Stallion hasn't been the most truthful about many things. Like, we ended up finding out that Tory Lanez did smash. You know what I'm saying? Tory Lanez smashed when she went on live news and said that he did it. You know what I mean? Like, and there's just been a lot of other lies being uncovered within the case itself. So at this point in time, it just seems like one person's word against the other with no serious evidence to back up the claim. And I think Tory Lanez may actually get out of this scotch-free, hopefully, especially if he didn't do it. Alright, so let's get straight into this. We have right here, a DNA expert says Tory's DNA was not found on the magazine, okay? Now this is after the first day of trial. Let's get into what he has to say.
Let me catch you up on what happened with the DNA experts. So both of the DNA experts said pretty much the exact same thing with very minute differences. Here's the basics, and then I'll tell you what I think. So they both said that the magazine was tested, and there were 4 DNA profiles on the magazine, and you can tell that none of those are Tory's. So most likely Tory never touched this magazine. On the gun, they both said the same thing, that there's 4 profiles on the gun, but it's inconclusive. You can't tell if the DNA is Tory's or somebody else's. Now, both experts agreed that you would expect to see Tory's DNA on the gun if he had shot it 5 times. The defense experts seem to go further and say, look, if he shot that gun 5 times and then they tested it, you would conclusively see that he's on it. You don't see that here, suggesting strong DNA evidence in Tory's favor. Now, then the prosecution went to try to discredit the defense expert. He's like, aren't you getting paid by the defense? Don't you always work for defendants? He's like, yeah, the LAPD has their crime prosecutor, and then defendants hire private companies like mine to do the forensics. It's like, oh, okay, well, how much are you getting paid? The guy's like $250 an hour. How much has he paid you total? The guy's like $6,000. It's like, oh, well, it was really kind of just like, look, there's experts, man. This guy's been doing it forever. He's like, are you accredited? And he's like, no, I didn't apply for accreditation. I'm certified by the same people who do accrediting. It's like, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, twice a year, our lab people all get tested. They send them blind samples. They have to do the analysis, send it back, and then we get the results. He's like, oh, okay, well, what are the results? He's like, well, we never got anything wrong. And the guy's like, how do we know that? He's like, I'm telling you. It's like, how do we know you're not lying? He's like, well, you can check. I'll show you the records. And then he just kept going on and on. Look, at the end of the day, the DNA evidence came out strongly, I think, in favor of Tory. We'll see where the rest of the trial takes us. There was one other part, the big part, which is that they never gave the crime lab Kelsey's DNA. And so on defense, the defense brought out this point that, hey, if you ever get a case file and there's 2 people with GSR, wouldn't you expect to get 2 people's DNA? And the guy's like, yeah, that would make sense. If there's 2 people who've tested positive for the GSR and we're testing one's DNA, we ought to test both DNA. Done.
In conclusion, there's no evidence of Tory's DNA found on the magazine of the gun. So that right there is crossed out. We can't look for evidence of DNA. Next one we have, it says her testimony was strong. Lawyer explains everything that went down on day 2 of the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion's trial. So it says lawyer explains everything that went down on day 2 of the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion trial. Let's hear what is going on and what he has to say, and then from this we could possibly get closer to a conclusion of what's really going on, who's telling a lie, because one of them are lying completely.
Day 2 of the trial is in the books. Meg Thee Stallion has finished testifying. Let me catch you up on what happened in the afternoon session. It started with the prosecutor leading with this. She said, "Hey, Meg, I know we went a little fast this morning. I want to slow down." And Meg said, "Yeah, I was a little nervous." And then Meg actually said, these were her words, she said, "I want to feel strong. I want to come off strong," and I didn't. And then she proceeded to testify, and she did come off a lot stronger and a lot more sure of herself in the afternoon session. There were powerful moments talking about, "He shot me," talking about the pain and the trauma and the emotion this whole situation has caused her, talking about how she initially did not want to do this. She wanted to try to protect Torey. And so there were very powerful moments in the testimony. She explained that ultimately she did decide to go to the police and say that Torey was the shooter because of the false narratives that Torey had put out there. In her mind, she felt like she was a grown woman. She shouldn't have been hanging out with these people, getting involved in this mess. I'm not quite sure who these people that she was referring to when she was like, "Oh, I shouldn't be hanging out with them." She was hanging out with Kylie Jenner, her assistant, Tory Lanez. So I guess she just meant Torey. I thought that statement was very indicative about how Meg feels about this whole situation, which is basically that she did nothing wrong, she had nothing to do with this mess, and she just wants to be completely removed from the whole situation. She denied that Kylie Jenner told her to leave. She denied that the security guard, and Kelsey had at one point left and then came back because she said, "I want to go back to get Torey." She said that it was the security guard who wouldn't leave without Torey, and that's why she was there. But at the same time, she also admitted that she didn't want to leave without Torey. So again, there was a lot of this. She just didn't want to say anything that made her image look bad, and I don't know why. She denied that there was any sort of relationship between...
Wait, hold up. So she admitted that she wanted to wait for Torey, but then she said that the only reason why they waited was because the bodyguard was telling Torey to come. What?
She said that it was the security guard who wouldn't leave without Torey, and that's why she was there. But at the same time, she also admitted that she didn't want to leave without Torey. So again, there was a lot of this. She just didn't want to say anything that made her image look bad, and I don't know why. She denied that there was any sort of relationship between Kelsey and Torey, which could have led to her being accused of going behind Kelsey's back. And in the car, she admits that in the car, Kelsey accused her of going behind her back. So I don't know how she's denying that there's no relationship. The defense attorney asked her, "Hey, what did Kelsey mean when Kelsey said that this isn't the first time you've gone behind my back?" And Meg said, "Oh, I don't know." Then we get to the shooting sequence, and I think the defense attorney did a really good job here focusing on the fact that, hey, did Meg Thee Stallion actually see who was shooting the gun? I don't think there's any doubt that 5 shots rang out. The question is, who pulled the trigger? Was somebody pointing at her, and who? The defense attorney established this, that Meg is in the front seat, front passenger, that Kelsey is directly behind Meg, and that Torey is in the rear passenger seat. He got Meg to testify this. Meg gets out of the car. She walks a couple steps to the front of the car by the absolute front. And then she goes a couple steps beyond that. All of this took a couple seconds. Within that time, apparently, Tory Lanez has made it from the rear passenger seat to now being on the passenger side. And from the passenger side, he pulls out a gun. She said he pulled the gun. From where, it's not clear. But he pulled the gun. He points it at her and shoots 5 times. Right before shooting, he yelled, "Dance, bitch," leading her to turn around and then see him with the gun. He pulls it, points, shoots, 5 shots. Where's Kelsey in all this? She has no idea. What does she then do? She then crawls away. The part that the defense attorney focused on is how, in a matter of...
She's saying that Tory Lanez pulled up like this and said, "Dance, bitch." Bow. I'm pretty sure in another claim she said that Tory Lanez was shooting over the car.
Seconds does he get from the rear passenger to having a gun in his hand to being on the passenger side in position to shoot over the window at you, all in a... Had to be something else that happened in that sequence of events from the time she got out of the car and the time the shots rang out. And then she completely denied that there was any sort of altercation between her and Kelsey. As to whether there was an altercation between Kelsey and Torey, and there has to be some altercations because there's a fingernail on the ground and there's jewelry on the ground. And so and Kelsey has blood on her. Kelsey has her swimsuit strap ripped off. So how did that all happen? And apparently there was a bump. She says that I saw a bump between Torey and Kelsey, and I guess the prosecutors will use that to establish why Kelsey has got her strap ripped and jewelry on the floor broken and a fingernail lying on the middle of the street. Bottom line, her testimony was strong, it was powerful, it was a victim telling you that a man shot her. All right, so from here, I think there's 2 important issues with this case. one, what are the other witnesses going to say? What's the driver going to say? What's Kelsey going to say? And what is the neighbor? There was a homeowner who lived there, who was in the house that is very close, very adjacent to where all of this is unfolding. He would have seen and heard a lot. He's going to testify. The other thing, the defense did a really good job of establishing that, hey, Meg's timeline here of in a few seconds, Torey gets out of the rear passenger, gets onto the passenger side of the vehicle, yells dance bitch, pulls a gun, lets out 5 shots. That there could have been a lot more that happened there in that sequence, because that's a lot of things happening in a very small amount of time. And it is not clear from Meg's testimony that a jury would go ahead and say, oh yeah, that man pulled a gun and he was shooting out. I could see the jury looking at that testimony, looking at that sequence of events, saying that doesn't add up and that means reasonable doubt. Or looking at it and saying, well, okay, maybe something happened here, but did this guy intentionally pull a gun and shoot at this woman? No, maybe there was another shooter. Maybe there's another explanation of how those gunshots rang out.
What if you could
At this point, I feel like, because at the end of the day, we don't know. And the only way that Torey could really get sentenced is without reasonable doubt. You get what I'm saying? So Megan Thee Stallion has to have this trial end with the jury having no doubt in their mind that Tory Lanez shot her in the foot. And the only way that she could possibly do that is by just being completely honest about every single aspect of what happened that night. About what they were arguing over, about her relationship with her friend, about her relationship with Tory Lanez, about how she got shot, exactly everything that happened. You get what I'm saying? And you can't, it can't be wishy-washy. You can't tell the truth about some things and then lie about the others. It's not going to work. You have to come out and tell the complete truth. All right? And now if you did get shot, because this is what we're fighting over, whether Tory Lanez shot her or not. If you did get shot, you should have not one thing to lie about. You get what I'm saying? Not one thing, because you are completely innocent. That's the role that, you know what I'm saying, that she's trying to play, it seems like. But you shouldn't be withholding any information. I would see no reason to withhold any information if you are completely innocent in this circumstance. You guys get what I'm saying? So comment down below what you guys think about this entire trial and situation between Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one, the same way you're gonna catch me in the next one. Peace.